All right, what's good, man? What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Monday, the best day of the week, because now we get to start the whole thing over again and talk this boxing. Even though the week never really comes to an end because we do it every day. But man, really happy to see you guys this morning. I'm going to go off on some of y'all, okay? Because let me assure you, I woke up this morning and I listened to things that people had to say, and not quite sure how I can put this other than to say that you guys are full of shit when it comes to this Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford stuff, and you pretty much just need to stop. But you're not going to stop, so the drama will continue to go. I've heard more nonsense about Errol Spence Jr. in the last 2 days than I can stand, okay? First, and we're going to go through it from both sides of it. From the Canelo Alvarez side to the Terrence Crawford side. And it's not necessarily the people. I do believe it's the whole organizations that are involved with them. Because Canelo Alvarez, whether or not he is with Golden Boy Promotions or not, is still with DAZN and Matchroom. That was a Matchroom card that Canelo Alvarez was just on. Okay? Who was the promoter that was there that was promoting that fight? Well, everybody please put in the comment section who the promoter was that was promoting that fight. What promoter other than Canelo Promotions got paid this weekend? The answer, my friend, is Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. Eddie Hearn and Matchroom are setting up Canelo Alvarez with a bunch of Euro fucking bums, and you guys are sitting there watching that shit in real time and acting like you don't see it. Am I missing something? Let's come straight to it. Let's leave Errol Spence to the side. I'm going to leave Errol Spence to the side. Okay? And I'm going to give you, before you come with your stupid counters, okay? Number one, I'm going to give you that Canelo Alvarez is the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world. You can have the steroids. I will sit the steroids to the side. I will sit the franchise championship to the side, and I will call Canelo Alvarez the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world. For the sake of this conversation, I'm going to do that, okay? Because I don't want for any of you bozos to come telling me how great he is, okay? I'm going to tell you, for the sake of this conversation, Canelo Alvarez is the greatest fighter on the face of the earth, bar none, okay? Do I believe that? Hell no. But I'll give it to you. Do I believe he's pound for pound number one? He should be. Like smart ass Eddie Hearn said to Teofimo Lopez in that shit I don't care about. Oh shit. I forgot Teofimo Lopez, dog. I'm about to rip Teofimo Lopez today. Ooh, let me take my note. I'm in a mood today because I heard Teofimo Lopez out there asking for a job. I saw Teofimo Lopez over there applying for a job with Eddie Hearn. You saw that? You saw him over there applying for a job, asking for that work. I saw it. Teofimo and Devin Haney straight up over there. Not Devin Haney. Teofimo Lopez straight up over there asking for money. Said, put the camera down. We don't breach contracts around here. All flapping around the fucking ass of Eddie Hearn, dog. It was like Eddie Hearn was walking, and whatever way his butt cheeks flew, that's which way Teofimo Lopez and his daddy went. Like, hey, Eddie, you got that 10 million? You got 10 million. I'll fight him for 10 million. Oh, yeah, I get your point, Eddie. Man, get the entire fuck out of my face. Okay? I'm going to go BFTB today. Get the entire fuck out of my face. Teofimo Lopez daddy said he knew. I get what you're saying about the franchise belt. Yeah, you know, like you don't like how it went down. Nah, dog, I'm telling you, don't slick talk me, dog. Okay, you got a contract with Eddie Hearn. I mean, with Bob Arum. Dog, go talk to Bob. Okay, go talk to Bob. That was straight shooting from Eddie Hearn. Man, go talk to fucking Bob. Okay, you should be undisputed, but you not. Okay, and you asking me for $10 million, man, get the fuck up out my face, dog. Go ask Bob to get you $10 million fucking dollars for that horse shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Get the fuck out of here, dog. That shit was embarrassing. I was embarrassed. And I thought if I was Bob Arum, I'd be pissed. I'd be on the phone right around like, I grab the phone right away. T.O., what the fuck are you doing, T.O.? Why the fuck you asking for contracts for Bob from fucking Eddie fucking Hearn on fucking Ellie Seth back? You know what I'm saying? Pick up the phone, blasting him this morning. I'd be on his ass if I was Bob Arum for that shit. Now, Focus Ball said, for once I respect something that Eddie Hearn says. Look, dog, Eddie Hearn probably tells the truth all the time when ain't nobody around. Okay? I don't respect shit about Eddie Hearn in that situation. Dog, Eddie Hearn, all he did was just say the truth. Dog, the problem with Eddie Hearn ain't that he will never tell the truth. Because sometimes just by the nature of fucking being human, you have to tell the truth. The problem is the inconsistency with which he tells the truth, right? And the greater the inconsistency, the more fucked up the individual, okay? Now, I did, though, enjoy laughing at two group of people. Now, Eddie was sitting there because Eddie's the fucking man, okay? I will give Eddie this shit, though. Eddie Hearn's the fucking man, okay? I've been telling y'all for a while, y'all are fucking up. If you don't stop fucking up, DAZN's gonna go away, but Eddie Hearn's gonna fucking win. And the reason why Eddie Hearn's gonna win is because Eddie Hearn gets his fighters paid. Number one, he gets his fighters paid. And he protects the shit out of them in a little phony ass bubble of fights. But at the very least, he will take black fighters. Eddie Hearn ain't got Eddie Hearn is one dude that I can say for sure don't see no fucking problem with color. As long as that shit is green, okay? Now, behind closed doors, may not stand Negroes. But at least out front, he's willing to give them paydays, okay? At least he's willing to give them paydays. So I can respect that about Eddie Hearn, all right? And more than likely, dog, unless these guys stop fucking up, Eddie Hearn is going to take over for Bob Arum. That dude's got that ESPN contract waiting for him. As soon as Eddie Hearn stops fucking around with British dudes and bringing all them horse shit ass British fighters over here, all Eddie Hearn got to do is sit there and just sign American fucking fighters and have get American fighters. But he fucked it up when he went all anti Al Heyman and didn't work with Al Heyman. That was a fuck up. That dude could have came in like a killer. If he would have fucked with Al Heyman had the managerial he had the managerial side all taken care of. He has the signing of the fighters taken care of. He's got the managing of the fighters taken care of. He's got the networks of the fighters taken care of. All you got to do is bring your fighters and integrate in it and make more fight dates. That's all you had to fucking do. But he ran for the fucking hills, dog, and fucked up the deal. Because those dudes used to do nice business together from what I could see. Anyway, he said, you heard what Eddie called them young bucks. He loves black fighters and his family probably had them fighting in the plantation. Dog, yeah, Eddie Hearn knows boxing. Eddie Hearn knows his fucking boxing, okay? He's a lying motherfucker, but he knows his boxing, okay? He's sitting ringside. He can tell you damn near off the top of his head every fighter that's fighting on damn near every card. I see him do it. He's like, who's fighting on this card? Oh, that card. He sees the entire picture of boxing for sure. He really, really does. And he remembers damn near every fight that's going on. It's quite impressive in a way. You know what I'm saying? And he works very hard, which is why he's going bald. Now, when that bald head goes and he stops trying to be the pretty boy and standing out in the middle of shit and doing all of that, dog, he's somebody that's going to be hard to fuck with, for real. Because he's what, 40? You know what I'm saying? What is he, 40 years old? Is he 40? He's pushing 40, 41, 42. And I'm telling you, people hit their prime in the 50s. So, Errol, nobody believes me when I say that people hit their prime in their 50s. And from a business perspective, from a maturity perspective, you hit your prime in your 50s because you have all the experience. Now, Eddie has a lot of access. He has a lot of knowledge. He has a lot of experience. And all he needs to do is have better fucking political people skills, shut his motherfucking mouth a little bit in the United States, and let other people eat, and he'll be rich as shit. You see, MTK Global just got set up. I'm going to leave that shit alone. Tried to snatch JoJo Diaz, and JoJo Diaz was like, oops, skirt, hit the brakes. UK will turn on him if he leaves the UK. You don't have to leave the UK, dog, to make money. Fuck you need to leave the UK for? Dog, you know what? I'm making money in Serbia. I never have to fucking show up in Serbia. Okay? Never have to show up to Serbia. Never. That's knowing how to manage people, dog. You just have to know how to manage people. You know, where do you see, you never even see Al Heyman, and he's running, dude, he could be running an entire fucking organization in Yugoslavia, dog. You would never fucking know it because you don't know what he's doing in the U.S. There are people who can manage very large organizations, okay? That is a managerial issue, and more than likely he doesn't have that skill set because I don't know where he would have gotten that skill set because that skill set really is for somebody that is running like, you know, maybe like an executive at like IBM or an executive at AT&T or a big, Google, shit like that, where you've got multiple places where all your people are working and you're there. You know what I mean? If whoever the fuck it is that runs Disney can run Disney, Eddie Hearn could find a fucking way to get 36 fighters together in the UK and 200 fighters in the United States and have them had cards together. That shit is not a fucking complicated scenario at all if you take out the bullshit politics, which we're going to go back to. Okay? Because seriously, you guys are on some dumb shit with this Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez shit, and let me tell you why. If I give you everything that you say, Terrence Crawford is let's go with Canelo first. Canelo Alvarez is the number one pound for pound fighter. Yes, I give you that. What's next? Errol Spence Jr. will get destroyed by Canelo Alvarez, and Canelo Alvarez has better business up there at 160. I don't know what the fuck that is, but okay, great. Who is Canelo Alvarez going to fight next? If he does not fight Errol Spence, who is he going to fight next? I need a Canelo fan. Who is he going to fight next? See how the conversation ends right there and you lose because he's going to fight a Euro bum. Okay? He is either going to fight the other guy, the former 160 pounder, Billy Joe Saunders, who sucks, couldn't punch his way out of a brown paper bag to save his fucking life. You know, feather-fisted Billy Joe Saunders. Now you say, well, Billy Joe Saunders gets knocked out. Man, get out of here. Billy Joe Saunders was losing a fight to that dude from Argentina. Some guy they pulled off who the fuck was this guy from? And he came out, Billy Joe Saunders got the knockout at the end, but he was supposed to get the knockout in the second round. He's just supposed to get in there and get rid of this dude. Hopefully David Benavidez knows Chris Foster because he doesn't fight Mexicans. Canelo Alvarez does not fight Mexicans. He said he will no longer fight a Mexican. So no Mexicans. Next. So no David Benavidez. Who's he going to fight next? Caleb Plant? You believe that? And even if it is Caleb Plant, why not Jermall Charlo? You think Caleb Plant is a better fight than Jermall Charlo? Is he going to fight Jermall? Is he going to fight Caleb Plant? Show me when that shit happens. Do you really believe he is going to get a fight when he's going to fight Caleb Plant? If Caleb Plant at ringside thinking that they about to get that fight, dog, wake up and call up David Benavidez, okay? Don't talk about that Canelo shit. You ain't getting that, dog. You not flat-footed. He's not going to just be able to walk at you, load up shots, just parry your shots. Oh, my God. And let me tell you, man. Do you know who Dave Caldwell is? Tell me if you know who Dave Caldwell is. I'll take the Caleb Plant fight for undisputed. Yeah, you'll take it. You're not getting it. How is that? That's a DAZN fight, Focus Ball. You're not getting that fight. You know what that is? That's like the Dillian White, when Dillian White, it's announced Dillian White was going to fight Luis Ortiz. Show me. Show me the fight. Okay? Show me the fight. You believe because you want to say you believe. But let's go back and say that past performance is an indication of your future actions. Who was the last fighter that Canelo Alvarez fought? Who's the last one? The name is Callum Smith. What did he fight like? Who did he fight before that? Sergey Kovalev. What does he fight like? Go back before that. Who did he fight? Rocky Fielding. What does he fight like? Go back to Daniel Jacobs. Ignore the color. What does he fight like? Go back another fight. Who did he fight? Gennady Golovkin. What does he fight like? Go through every one of them and you will see a pattern. And Caleb Plant does not fit it. You may see all these names that maybe he can fight. But if you look back on the fights that he's had recently, over the last 3 years, and you will see that he doesn't fight anybody that looks like that. He had a mandatory named Jamal Charlo, and he took the franchise belt not to take the fight. Slow hands, slow feet. Slow feet, set, not a lot of power. Fuck out of here. Jamal Charlo has enough power to keep Canelo honest, where Callum Smith does not. So, my point is this. You can have all of everything that you want. He's the number one pound for pound fighter. He's the number one money maker in all of boxing. You can take all of that and you're still left with this. He has not fought any legitimate competition for himself since Gennady Golovkin, and even that was barely, because Gennady Golovkin is a hype job. Gennady Golovkin is a guy that they're still trying to convince you has 22 title defenses. Both can be true. You can both be the best fighter in the world and be ducking at the same damn time. You can do them both, which is why it's not even necessary for me to enter into a conversation about who is the number one pound for pound fighter. That is just your opinion. I have in a list. My number one pound for pound fighter is mine. Your pound for pound fighter is yours. There is that shit's not real, people. That's like saying who gives you better presents, okay? The Tooth Fairy or Santa Claus? Who's your favorite Christmas character? Is it Jack Frost is it Jack Frost? Or is it the Heat Miser? What the fuck do we care? That shit is not real. Pound for pound is not real at all. The only objective thing that there is the fight. The only objective thing for all of you lying ass people who claim that you're unbiased and you're fact-based, the only facts are the fight. That's it. Even how much money they make, you don't know because you're not the IRS. You have no clue how much Errol Spence earned. You have a general idea that Canelo makes more than you do. Okay? You can get that. Oh, he's in the ballpark of rich. But that's the most specificity you can get to anybody's pocketbook unless your ass is the IRS and you got a team of forensic accountants running through your bank accounts. You don't know how much money they're making. You don't know how much money Terrence Crawford has got to pay to Bob Arum, and how much money he's got to pay to Bomac, and how much he's got to pay to Bernie the Boxer, and how much he's got to do. You don't know that. So you don't know. All you know is this. Who has he fought? And so go to Terrence Crawford. You say, what if everything that you say is true about Errol? And let me go see, because I've been waiting for this one. Errol Spence Jr., I'm going to assume this for you people that like to lose arguments. For you people that talk and talk and talk and talk and just insist that it's time to lose an argument. Well, here's the argument that you lose. Terrence Crawford can be the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. I'll give it to you. He can be better than Errol Spence Jr., a way better fighter than Errol Spence Jr., and Errol Spence Jr. is scared of him. I'll give that to you. Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr. does not want to fight Terrence Crawford. I'll give it to you. Now, who is Terrence Crawford going to fight next? Because he turned down Sean Porter. He turned down Danny Garcia. He won't fight Keith Thurman. He probably wouldn't fight Adrian Bronner. The dude wouldn't even fucking fight Gary goddamn Russell Jr. and his ass is 126 fucking pounds. You lose. You lose. Because he's not fighting anybody. And you could go back his last 6 fights and you will not see a fucking soul worth fighting on the resume. Kell Brook, the least acceptable opponent he could possibly have fought. Amir Khan, Egis Kalvanakis, Jeff Horn, Pegleg Benavidez, and Postol. Those are the people that and not even Postol, and Dungo. All of those things you say about Errol Spence Jr. while you're trying to deflect the subject. That's what I'm doing. Let's take all of your deflections and move them. Your whole argument is shit because Terrence Crawford is not going to fight anybody next. He's not going to fight Keith Thurman. He's not going to fight Adrian Bronner. He's not going to fight Jose Ramirez. He's not going to fight Josh Taylor. He's not going to fight Sean Porter. He's not going to fight any of them. And why do you know that? Because of what he said out of his own mouth. I can take Errol Spence Jr. and act like he retired, and you still lose because your boy ain't fighting nobody, and you know it. The only thing you can do is talk about why, and then that's when we agree. Then that's when, Fanon makes sense. Because Fanon will talk about Bob Arum and how Bob Arum is responsible for Terrence Crawford. And how Terrence Crawford would take this, but we know it's Bob Arum. Fuck that, man. We not giving you that shit. We going straight facts. I don't know what Bob Arum does and doesn't do. I know who Terrence Crawford fights and doesn't fight, though. And he ain't fighting nobody. And he ain't fighting nobody next. You lose. So, next. I don't care if Josecito Lopez is better than Danny Garcia because Errol Spence Jr. will beat the shit out of Josecito Lopez too. Josecito Lopez got knocked out by Andre Berto like 5 years ago. Get the fuck out of here with no Josecito Lopez. Josecito Lopez would be a fight that Errol Spence Jr. deserved, but I'm not talking about Errol yet. I'm not talking about Errol. I'm going to beat up on Bud. Since y'all want to take all these shots at Errol, terrible ones, terribly stupid shots. That's why y'all keep making Bud, you need to hire everybody that makes arguments for you and tell them to shut the fuck up pronto. Man, will you shut the fuck up? Stop defending me. Because you know all they're going to do is drag out my resume and point out the fact that I ain't fighting nobody and then say if Errol Spence retired tomorrow, I still wouldn't fight no fucking body. Terrence Crawford. So let me condense that argument. Terrence Crawford and Bob Arum, that whole cabal, is full of shit in and of themselves, independently, upon their own actions, the shit that they choose to do, with Errol Spence Jr. completely out of the subject. You're just deflecting by talking about things like who's the best fighter, who's scared of what split is right, all of that crap. But you know, BAFTA. I've been telling y'all about BAFTA. Best alternative to a negotiated agreement. What is the walk away? If Errol does not fight Bud, that's a little bit ahead of it. I will wait for a second before I bust you in the motherfucking head with BAFTA. So we have established Canelo Alvarez is the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. He will destroy Jermall Charlo. He will destroy Errol Spence Jr. He's the number one cash cow in all of boxing. But he ain't fought nobody in 3 fucking years, and he ain't gonna fight nobody for the next 3 fucking years, and he's a fucking steroid cheat, and he's a duck. See? I can take all that pound for pound shit, which is make-believe, all that money that we don't have validated, and give it to all of it to you. And you still gonna get Billy Bullshit Saunders versus Canelo Alvarez next. And we're gonna be having this same conversation next fight. And I'm gonna be telling you the same thing when you try to cover for Bud by using Canelo to attack Errol. Because Errol's trying to make fights. So let's go to Errol. Errol, and I'm going to sum it up for you dummies. Believe it. Nah, brother, I ain't sum it up yet. I'm going to really sum it up. I'm only through part 3. Prong 1, dumbasses, was Canelo. Prong 2, dumbasses, was Bud. Prong 3 of the argument is Errol. I am going to give you every argument that you say about Errol, and you're still going to lose. I'm going to give you every point you make about Errol, and you're still going to lose. Errol sucks. He sucks. I'm going to give it to you. I'm not just going to say he's not number one pound for pound. I'm going to tell you he sucks. He's overrated. He's a complete hype job. I'm giving you that. Number 2, he's ducking Terrence Crawford. I'm giving it to you. Number 3, he doesn't make anywhere near as much money as Canelo Alvarez, and Canelo Alvarez would destroy him. I'm giving you that. Is there any more dumb shit you would like me to give you before I roast your dumb asses? And you know how I'm going to do it. Because I did it in prong 1, and I did it in a prong of 2, and now I'm doing it in a prong of 3. So you already know what I'm going to tell you next. That's how I tell you. I'm going to tell you, then I'm going to tell you what I told you, and I'm going to tell you, then I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you, then I'm going to tell you, then I'm going to tell you what I told you. So I told you first time, I'm going to give you everything. You can have it all. Every point you want, you get it. Now shut up. Because now that I gave you every point, you got nothing else to say. And now tell me who Errol Spence Jr. is going to fight next. If Terrence Crawford fight does not happen, who will he fight next? It's either going to be Keith Thurman or a rematch with, it's going to be Keith Thurman, who is, by the way, Hall of Fame candidate, or it's going to be Manny Pacquiao, who is Hall of Fame for damn sure, or it's going to be a mandatory in Sean Porter, who's another dude who's a Hall of Famer. If not, definitely going to make the ballot, just in case you want to argue and say, they're not Hall of Famers. That's why I'm calling them candidates, dumbass. You don't think they're going to make the list at all? They're going to make the list to get rejected or accepted. They're that damn good. So what is Errol going to do next if everything that you say about him is true? He's going to fight a potential Hall of Famer. So you are mad at him because, and let me wrap up the stupidity of your fucking argument. You are mad at Errol because Errol will fight one group of Hall of Famers instead of fighting another group of Hall of Famers. You are mad at Errol because Errol wants to fight Canelo, who's a Hall of Famer, or he wants 60-40 to fight Bud, who, according to Bud, is a Hall of Famer. That's what he wants. He wants to move up 2 weight classes to fight a Hall of Famer. Bud will not do that. So anything you want to say about Errol, you lose. Because the man got out of a horrific car accident. A horrific car accident. Got off his ass and beat a future Hall of Fame fighter. And I'm giving you that he sucks. He did it and he sucks, according to you. He did it and he's scared of Terrence Crawford, according to you. But he did it. And what's next? And I said, but let me be consistent. Let me look at his past performance and use it as an indicator of his future actions. Who are the last 6 people that he fought? And let's see, will the pattern continue? Danny Garcia. I don't need to give you the resume. Sean Porter. I ain't got to give you the resume. Mikey Garcia. You know, little, but you ain't got to give me no crap because whatever. Mikey Garcia, future Hall of Famer, that he only took because Sean Porter wouldn't fight him. Or he couldn't get that fight made. Before that, mandatory. Before that, Kell Brook, IBF champion. Oh, before that, Lamont Peterson, another Hall of Fame candidate. And before that, who? Kell Brook, another Hall of Fame candidate. We mad because you yell. No, you ain't mad because you ain't mad at me because I yell. You need to leave if you don't like me yelling. Get the fuck out. Not complicated. All you got to do is click a button and you gone. TBE is TBE Legend said, thank you for 9. It's Crawford's job to go after Spence. Spence is the top dog. No, TBE. No, it is not his job. That is not Bud's job. Because in this argument, Errol Spence doesn't exist. Errol Spence doesn't exist. Because I'm asking you, what is Bud going to do if he doesn't fight Errol Spence? And the answer is a resounding, not a damn thing. And why? Because he hasn't given you a damn thing when he hasn't fought Errol Spence before. Let me repeat that for the slow-witted. There's been a bunch of times that Terrence Crawford has not gotten an Errol Spence Jr. fight and has fought somebody else. Like every fight at welterweight. So you know what's going to happen more than likely if he doesn't fight Errol Spence Jr. again. He's going to fight somebody else that you don't care about and has no chance to beat him. Why would you say that? Because that's what he's been doing in the past. If somebody keeps driving to the left on you to do layups, what do? You cut off the left and see maybe he can't go right. That's what you do. So you predict what he's going to do based on what he did before. You're not going to get anything out of Bud because he hasn't done anything before. He has all the talent in the world, but he's fighting guys that have no chance. And all the subjective stuff around it is just subjective stuff around it. The reasons why. What would happen if the fight did happen? Nah, man. You guys are trying to attack Errol. Look at what you're doing. You're attacking a fighter for trying to move up 2 weight classes and fight a guy that people say is the best in the world, instead of giving a guy who other people think is the best in the world a fight and giving him more money than anybody else would think he deserved. You're mad at him for trying to go up to fight the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world, according to most people, right? Or a lot of people. You're penalizing him for that because he won't go fight somebody else who he said he would fight as long as the guy didn't overprice himself. And he gave you the number 60-40. And you know that's a fair deal. You know that's a fair deal. Errol Spence would take 60-40 with Canelo. Why wouldn't he? 40% of an Errol Spence Jr. fight is way more money than Terrence Crawford has ever earned. That is not true about 50% of a fight with Terrence Crawford for Errol Spence. It's just not true. But you guys want your crazy and very terrible arguments, have them. But when you do your dumbass retorts, make sure you don't say anything about Errol Spence Jr. ducking him, because I gave it to you. Don't say anything about Canelo having other shit to do, because I gave it to you. I gave you all of your points. The only thing you get to argue is that Canelo Alvarez is going to fight somebody next and Terrence Crawford is going to fight somebody next. And that you reasonably believe that based on their prior performances, and you will lose. Because you can't. And that, my friend, is pure, unadulterated logic. Raw to the bone logic. If a dog bites you every time you stick your hand in near its mouth, it is stupid to believe that the next time you stick your hand by that dog's mouth, he's just going to be sick of biting you. That is stupidity. But you guys expect people to do that with Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez because you like them. Because you like them and you support them. But dog, don't nobody got to believe that. That's why Terrence Crawford that's why so many people dropped off his bandwagon. There used to be an army of people making defenses for him, but they lost and they went away. But y'all keep hanging around, losing. Hanging around, losing. And that's not to support Errol. Because again, I gave you everything that you have to say about Errol. That Errol is whack, or Errol is the problem, is the reason that Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford ain't happening. But guess what? Deontay Wilder wasn't the reason that the Anthony Joshua fight wasn't happening. But what do you know what Deontay Wilder did? Deontay Wilder came up with a bunch of different solutions to try to get the fight happening. What kind of solutions is Terrence Crawford offering? Nothing but a ridiculous statement that if it's 60-40, it's going to be 60-40 my way. Dog, man, come on. Come on, man. Just wake up. Like, wake up. You know what I'm saying? Like, shake the cobwebs off, dog. Get a scan. Get a CTE. Do something. Okay? Because you need to take 40% of $100 million, dog. That's $40 million. Okay? Huh? That's That's 10 fights on, that's worth 10 fights on ESPN. What are you talking about? Errol is on pay-per-view. You are not. This shit makes no sense. Bill, I be having conversations with people like that sometimes. Like, I never thought I would be this type of person when I was young and inexperienced. I never thought I would be. You know why? Because I was young and inexperienced. I didn't get the concept that, you know, you got to earn it, dog. And what earn it means is what hits the table. What hits the table? Okay? What hits the table? I have to pay my bills in this house. I have to. I have no choice. I have to get up. I have to work. Okay? And I don't care what the work is, whatever the work is that's going to get it done. I've got to do it, and I've got to get it done because I'm a man. That's my responsibility. It's a bare fact. Terrence Crawford, as a bare fact, is not a $100 million fighter. He is an ESPN main event fighter. That is what Bud Crawford is. Wake up. That's what you are. Vasily Lomachenko is an ESPN main event fighter. That is what he is. There's nothing wrong with that. That is lucrative. That is to be respected. But that is what he is. When you strip away all the finery, when you strip away all the pounds, all of the Steve Kim articles, all of the lights that are flashing around you. When you walk into a big event, sometimes in your mind's eye, take away the crowd, turn off the lights, and look at the people so you can see what is really happening. I don't care how big the event seems on ESPN. That event is happening in a room with about 100 people in their tops, and it is on a regular cable network's main event. And they budgeted $5 million for the show, and it's going to get paid for by the advertisers on ESPN. That is what the deal is. That is who Terrence Crawford is. That's who Lomachenko is. Let me tell you who Errol Spence Jr. is. Errol Spence Jr., excuse me, Errol Spence Jr. is a back-to-back pay-per-view star. He is not an ESPN main event fighter. He was a Showtime main event fighter, but he graduated to pay-per-view star. Bud has not graduated. He's gone a couple times. He had a cup of coffee, and then he came back down. Then he had a cup of coffee, then he came back down. Errol's been in the major leagues, and he stays in the major leagues when it comes to the platform and the level of his fight. And that is a fact. It is not opinion. You have to pay $75 to watch him fight. You do not have to do that for Errol Spence, for Terrence Crawford. It comes with your subscription to your cable network. Those are levels. And that's a fact. Which is why Teofimo Lopez, who is what? An ESPN main event fighter, says, I will fight Devin Haney if you give me $10 million. What is $10 million? $10 million is the salary of an established pay-per-view star. Teofimo Lopez is telling you, Eddie, if you take me to the next level, I'll fight Devin. But I am an ESPN main event fighter right now. I'm not fighting him for ESPN main event money. And that's what his daddy said. That's what Teofimo Lopez said. So shut the entire fuck up trying to debate me on that one. So when we're talking facts, Errol Spence Jr. sucks. He's a duck. He's terrible for the sport. He's a drunk. He's ugly. His mom and daddy don't love him. What other shit you want to put on him, he is a guy that fought, objectively speaking, back to back to back pay-per-views. So what does that say about his next fight? If prior performance is going to predict future actions. What? Come on with me, class. What's going to happen next for Errol? If in the last 3 fights were on pay-per-view and they were all against fighters that were future Hall of Famers. Well, I think maybe his next fight just might be on pay-per-view against somebody that is going to be maybe a candidate for the Hall of Fame. And we know that's true because the names are Errol, is Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, and Manny Pacquiao, even if Canelo don't take the fight. And one of them is going to fight him. So there you go. That's the objective level of Errol's competition and the objective level of his financial status in the sport of boxing. He's a higher echelon fighter than Terrence Crawford is. And you may not like it, but it's true. Until Terrence Crawford fights back to back to back pay-per-views against back to back to back future Hall of Famers. Huh. Whoa. You're not getting out of that. Never. Never. Body bag. And that's why I don't debate people. Just straight body bag. Body bag. Terrence Crawford don't deserve 50-50 with Errol. He needs to say thank you to Errol for letting me get to this level. Because when I whoop you, there ain't no more ESPN main event fights for me, buddy. But Terrence wants to sit there on an ESPN main event that his promoter complained about paying for against guys we didn't want to see fight and point the finger at a guy fighting Hall of Famers on pay-per-view. That's why Errol looks at him like a fucking joke and said, I'm the fucking boss. Take this 60-40 or 70-30 or stay your ass on the main event on ESPN. The fuck out of my face. There ain't no difference between Terrence Crawford talking to Errol Spence and Teofimo Lopez daddy talking to Eddie Hearn. No difference. Hey, man, I'm sick of being over here at a main event on ESPN. Can you get me to the big leagues? And Errol is trying his damnedest to do it. But Bud don't want to do it. I don't need this shit. I'm on an ESPN main event. You don't see me on this ESPN main event. I'm ESPN main event, baby. Meanwhile, standing in the middle of Dallas Cowboys Stadium on the 50-yard line in front of 100,000 people announcing their pay-per-view fight against a Hall of Famer is Errol Spence Jr. Errol can laugh at Terrence Crawford straight out of his mouth, straight in his face. Wake up. Take 60-40 and beat his ass, Terrence. And then you're a pay-per-view fighter and you've beaten a future Hall of Famer in his prime. And then you're the fucking man. But not a second before it. And that is logic. Logic. If you do not believe me, check the facts. Did you pay for Terrence Crawford's last fight? Answer no. Have you ever heard, did you ever hear anybody complain about buying a Terrence Crawford pay-per-view? No. Do you know why? Because you barely know anybody that ever bought one. But it's a 50-50 fight. No, dude, it's not. Okay? If I'm sitting down and I'm being straight with you, straight as I fucking can be. If I'm sitting next to somebody that is senior to me, that is more influential than me, I tend to shut the entire fuck up unless I'm spoken to. That's how I move. Because I know what I am and I know what I'm not. And you are disrespectful to people when you know what you are, they know what they are, and you know that they know what you are, and you know that they know what you know that they are. And you act like that ain't the case. They tend to take their big ass foot and stick it up your little ass. That's what happens. So, Bud, stop being stupid. 40% of $80 million. Let's just go to $100 million. 40% of $100 million is $40 million. 100% of $10 million is $10 million. And you ain't in no $10 million fights. So what are you talking about? He says he wants to fight you. Even though everybody around him would tell him, man, why? Let's go make a bunch of fucking money. Why? Let him fight for $4 million over there on fucking show on ESPN till he's 40. Dog, let's go make this $20 million against Manny. Let's go down to Arlington, dog, and spend some money and get in the face of Terrence and of Canelo and say, Canelo, fight me. I want my $100 million. Let's go try to get $200 million, Errol. Why are we arguing with that nigga from Oklahoma? And Errol's like, because it's strap season, baby. It's strap season. I want to unify. I know that I'll be the man if I whoop his ass, and I want to whoop his ass. But then Bud say, you ain't whooping my ass if it ain't 50-50. And Errol's looking at him like, nigga, do you believe that I'm living paycheck to paycheck for real? You think I'm buying ranches with palominos and shit, okay? I'm flipping Ferraris and I don't give a fuck about the Ferrari. I just buy the Ferrari horse. Dude, Errol ain't fake, man. Let me tell you what Errol has done. Errol has made it, man. He has made it. It's just the truth. He's the truth. His numbers are the truth. They're real. They're not smoke and mirrors. Okay? It's not smoke and mirrors. He's bigger than Lomachenko. He's bigger than Gervonta Davis. He's bigger than everybody in boxing not named Canelo. And if Deontay Wilder lost, if Deontay Wilder would be huge if he won. But the only guy in American, that is as big as Errol Spence is Deontay Wilder if they don't cheat him and he gets his belt back. But short of that, Errol Spence Jr. is the king of American boxing, period. Canelo's Mexican. He's not American. He's Mexican. He's not a U.S. citizen. Manny Pacquiao's Philippine. He's not American citizen. The king of American boxing is Errol Spence Jr. at 147 pounds, and Canelo won't fight him, and you need to get the money and act like you got some sense. Suck up your pride and make the fight. Suck up your pride and make the fight. You're not on his level, and it's just truth, okay? And I'm going to tell you straight up, a true lesson, dog. True lesson. Because y'all want to know, I'm going to give you a true lesson. Y'all don't know. This is how we do. This is how we do. This is how I was raised. Y'all don't know. This is how they teach you. I had an argument about socialism versus libertarianism. Libertarianism is 100% about ruthless, selfish business interests of the individual, and that's what's most important. Get your money all morals and social responsibility laid to the side. That's what this guy told me he believed. I said that I believe in worker co-ops, where workers can work together and they both can have the fruit of their labor. I have a business relationship with the person that said that to me. Do you know what they did after I said that 2 weeks later? Tried to cut my contract in half to prove to me, nah, dog, I pay the fucking bills around here, not you. And do you know what I said? Nah, bitch, I pay my own bills. Fuck you and your money. My BAFTA is real fucking good. What's yours like? So we look eye to eye, and maybe it'll work out. But I guarantee you who it's going to work out for goddamn sure. Me. I'm telling you to be real. Get your money, Terrence, and stop fucking playing. Bob Arum does not work for you. You work for Bob Arum because Bob Arum can shut you off any fucking time he wants unless you're in the position to make sure he can't. If you are, if you're not, nigga, get it right. Money talks, bullshit walks. Errol don't need you. You need Errol if you want to get away from Bob. Because Errol can pay you 10 times as much money as Bob. Fuck what Al Heyman and all that talk. Let's talk about the opportunity that Errol can give you, that Bob will never give you. Errol can come to Oklahoma. Tell me I'm lying. Errol Spence could get on a plane, go to Nebraska, sit down with Terrence Crawford at a desk and say, look, man, I'm giving you this fight. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. Okay? I don't care what Al says. I don't care what anybody says. I'm giving you this fight. You know why? Because I respect Floyd Patterson. Let me tell you the story of Floyd Patterson. Floyd Patterson is a heavyweight champion for the late 1950s, early 1960s. And if he was a phony individual, he would have never fought Sonny Liston. Sonny Liston was going to kill him. He's going to kill you, Rock. He was the original. He's going to kill you, Rock. But he said, you know what? I'm going to fight this man because he's the number one contender. I got to fight him. Everybody get away. I am going to fight this dude. I don't care if he whoops my ass. I'm a man. I'm going to fight him. That's what he did. Sonny Liston, you know who Sonny Liston is today because of that. The only reason that there was a Ali overcoming, I shook up the world. The only reason that there was that is because Floyd Patterson was man enough to fight Sonny Liston when he knew he was going to lose. That is what Errol, even if he was a bum, could do for Terrence. But Terrence is talking to shit to the gift horse. Do you see how Canelo is treating Errol? Errol's in a better position with Canelo to get a fight than Bud is to get with Errol. Because there's literally nobody that Canelo can fight that's more money than Errol. Nobody. You cannot name a fight that is a bigger money fight for Canelo than Errol. Nobody. Not Gennady Golovkin, not Billy Joe Saunders, not nobody in the UK. Nobody. Because there's no star above Errol Spence and below Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, and Tyson Fury. There are no stars in boxing there. The star is Errol. And Errol is stuck between two other stars. Those stars are, at a smaller weight class, really, Manny and Canelo. He's stuck. He is a fucking galaxy stuck between galaxies when you're talking about money. But you want him not to take either one of them and to fight you. And he says he's willing to do it if you'll just act like you got some damn sense. And you don't want to act like you got no sense. Man, I would throw you out of my life so fast, your head would be fucking spinning if I was Errol Spence. I'd throw you, man, get the fuck out of my life. Man, I'm doing you a favor. You don't see me doing you a favor? Because your ego's all twisted? Canelo just told Errol flat out, no. I've got other things going on at 168, Errol, no. And nobody batted an eye. Canelo turns down the biggest fight in boxing that he could possibly have, and nobody blinks an eye. And these guys are always talking about money and how big the fights are and what a super fight it is. But all of a sudden, this is on. Once Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence. Neither Terrence Crawford or Errol Spence is on your fucking network. Why in the world, Chris Mannix, are you talking about a fight that don't even exist on your network? You know why? Because those matchmakers over there are like, no go on Errol, he can lose. No go on Errol. No go on Errol. No go on Errol. Why, matchmaker? Because Errol can beat him. There is more than a 20% chance that Errol can win that fight. Fight does not get made. That's why you won't fight him. Not that they think, oh, Canelo can't lose. No, I gave you the equation, you dumb motherfuckers. I told you the equation. Bob Arum told you his equation. Didn't he? Quiz to the chat. What is the percentage of which Bob Arum is willing to put his prospect in with the champion? What is the lowest percentage chance that he is willing to accept? The answer is, for brevity, the answer is 80%. In order to give a championship fight to, say, Shakur Stevenson or Teofimo Lopez or Mick Conlan, the matchmakers have to be 80% sure, at least, that guy is going to win that fight to make it. Otherwise, it's a no-go. So why would the matchmakers at DAZN not want? Because the matchmakers talk to the producers, and the producers talk to the talent, and then the talent pour it out of their fucking pie hole. Okay? That's how that has to work. You have Bob Arum, you have Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing saying, what fights do you think we're going to put on? Oh, we think these fights can be put on. Well, who's going to win it? Well, 80% chances all of these guys are going to win. So we're going to win, but we're not going to go below 90% this year. We need to be safe. So 90% is a 90% chance that all of these guys are going to win. So yeah, we're going to win 19 out of 20 fights, right around there. And consequently, we'll make X amount of money, and that'll be our year. And then my bonus will be X amount of dollars. All right? That's how you fucking do that. That's how the matchmakers are connected to the money, are connected to the media, are connected to the bullshit you get sold. So, why no Errol Spence? Because there is more than a 20% chance that Errol will beat him. I think it's probably a 55-45 fight in the favor of Canelo. 55-45 Canelo. At the widest, it's 60-40 Canelo. Can somebody tell me what number is bigger? No, if your threshold is 80% and Canelo Alvarez versus Errol Spence, which is what? Southpaw on orthodox. A southpaw, or that's why I'm yelling, because of the fucking stupidity. A southpaw, fast hands, fast feet, defensively responsible fighter who has already beat at least 4 Hall of Famers. Do you think they believe Canelo got a 90% chance of beating him? No. Do you know who Canelo had a 90% chance of beating? Callum Smith, Sergey Kovalev, Rocky Fielding, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., them. The only risky one was Gennady Golovkin 1. Because in Gennady Golovkin 2, he was juiced. She was extra juiced in that one because that's when he tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs, right? And then 6 months later, after popping dirty, not 2 years like they're trying to give Big Baby, you know what I mean? Not 2 years. 6 months later, he's back in a fight with Gennady Golovkin, the same guy he doped to fight for and had the fight canceled. That's the last time you've seen him in a fight that was not at least 80-20. Daniel Jacobs, maybe, but still 80 ease because he's not southpaw, number one. He doesn't have fast hands, number two. He's not technically as sound as Errol Spence, number three. He's just not. If you put the same size Daniel Jacobs, it's not even the size. Because when we talk about the same size, we always ignore the speed. As if when somebody puts on muscle, they lose speed. I'm telling you, Canelo is slower at 154 and 160 than he was in 154. And he's definitely going to be slower in 168, even with all that damn muscle that adds all that weight. And you're going to put him in there with somebody that's a southpaw? A southpaw? That's why they have the no black fighters and they got the no southpaw rule. Errol Spence is a southpaw. A slick southpaw when he wants to be. Because isn't that what he did to Mikey? Man, I'm not even feeling well. I'm sick. I ain't even taking care of my body. This guy ain't trying to, you know what I'm going to do? Fuck it. Southpaw, slick southpaw mode. And he turned into a slick southpaw. He started coming in and out of range, getting in there, flurrying, keeping you from looking good, not doing a lot of damage, winning every god doggone round throughout the whole fight. Errol Spence can turn into a slick southpaw, or he can turn into a go get your ass Marvin Hagler type of southpaw. But be a natural southpaw. And don't lunch. He'll fuck around and turn orthodox too, because I've seen him do it. Y'all acting like Errol can't turn orthodox. He can. He did it with Lamont Peterson. When he was like, you know what? I'm just going to show off. And he popped to orthodox. And he beat the piss out of Lamont Peterson from the orthodox stance. Errol is a special fighter, man. He's a special fighter. None of these guys Canelo Alvarez is fighting is a special fighter. The last special fighter he fought, he lost to. But go ahead and debate me. Debunk that. Debunk it. Debunk it. Debunk it. Debunk it. Where was Terrence Crawford's? You know. But you know. You know. So, while you out there trying to tear up Errol for fighting Hall of Famers off of a car accident because of some make-believe pound-for-pound list, man, go away. Errol is trying to fight Canelo. Errol said he will fight Terrence, but he's not going to be no 50-50 fight, dog. I'm helping you out. I'm lifting you up a level. Don't you see that? Now, I have to ask some facts. And much love to everybody in the super chat. Yep. Errol is a duck. Look, dummy, you're right. Errol ducked a Hall of Famer to go fight another Hall of Famer. Meanwhile, that Hall of Famer you're saying ducked him for a tomato can. It's funny how the guy that's ducking always winds up fighting like a Hall of Fame level guy. Not like a Hall of Fame level guy. Every time Errol ducks, Terrence, he has fought a Hall of Fame fighter instead. Every time Terrence Crawford has been ducked, he's fought a bum. Exactly who is benefiting from the ducking? Let me repeat that question for you. If Errol's a duck, Frenchie, if Errol's ducking and Terrence Crawford is being ducked, but every time Errol ducks Terrence, Errol fights a Hall of Fame fighter on the level of Terrence Crawford, and every time Terrence Crawford is ducked, he fights a fucking bum. Who exactly is benefiting from the ducking? It seems like Terrence is benefiting from the ducking. Terrence benefits from Errol's ducks because Terrence still gets the name recognition. He gets the names mentioned, but yet he gets a paycheck for fighting a nobody, Frenchie. Meanwhile, Errol ducking gets the criticism, still has to go off and fight a Hall of Famer. You lose. You lose. And just so I can slap somebody else upside the head, Deontay Wilder's dent in his head. If you are not a doctor, go find one. If somebody fractures your skull, you will see swelling, which means even though there's a dent, it swells so it looks like it protrudes. The part where the dent is, the swelling, is just swelling. And when it goes away, you won't see the dent any more than you can see my temple. Now, let me ask you a question. Can you see the indentation in your temple? No, you cannot. But if you press, it goes down, and you can see that there is something there that is soft and not like this, but you can't see it. So the fact that you can't see that indentation or see the dent does not mean it's not there. So if you keep using that stupid excuse, despite the entire video that was produced of evidence, you've been bodied and you're just being a sore loser. Tyson Fury cheated. We have 3 videos on this channel that go through what he did and show it to you. And then tell you the rule, the actual rule that was violated. If you can show what he's doing, show the rule, show how what he's doing violates the rule, you have proved that he's cheated. And we did it over and over and over and over again. But yet you hang on some bullshit dent. Trash. And I let you people float sometimes on your trash because you think I'm being a part of the community. But I listen. And your argument is trash. Trash. And sometimes I wish I could go to a debate and body you and body all of you because you suck at it. You are trying to tear down Errol Spence Jr. because he's demanding great fights. And then you nitpick him because you don't like which great fight he wants. This man is surrounded by great fights. He can fight Errol. He can fight Canelo, but Canelo won't fight him. He can fight Manny, but Manny's not going to fight him. And all he says about Terrence is, man, stop acting like you some fucking superstar, because you not. Okay? I know superstars because I'm trying to get fights with superstars, and they still won't fight me, and I am a superstar. So don't be coming out here trying to fight me and act like I ain't no superstar. See, that's how I would do. That's how I would do, bud. That's how I do, bud. I'd be like, look, bud, no. And let me tell you why no. Because I am a black man being mistreated. Oh, how could Errol be a black man being mistreated? He's the #1 American cash cow for sure. and 2 American networks, and 1 American network, DAZN, refuses to give him a fight, ridicules a fight with the biggest Mexican star, but yet call it themselves international. Why they bring a Mexican, love Mexico, no disrespect, but a Mexican citizen and a British citizen and come together to snatch American people's money and won't give Errol Spence Jr. the fight. And want him to go back and fight somebody that just was on an ESPN main event instead of the biggest fight in boxing. And that's the truth. Manny Pacquiao is not going to fight him. Manny Pacquiao ducked him, and Errol Spence Jr. is the biggest fight Manny Pacquiao can make, period. Both Canelo Alvarez and Manny Pacquiao's biggest paydays come with Errol Spence Jr., and neither one of them will give that man a fight. That ain't no different than what Sean Porter and Keith Thurman were doing to Errol Spence Jr. when he was trying to take over the welterweight division. And that's a fact. And that's a fact. But Manny ain't going to fight him, and Canelo ain't going to fight him. So he's a superstar being shunned by 2 other superstars. And networks are letting those superstars get away with ducking another superstar, but at the same time claim everything's about money. When the biggest payday for Canelo is Errol. And tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. The biggest fight for Canelo Alvarez was an American fighter before with Floyd Mayweather Jr. And his biggest fight right now is with a welterweight 147-pounder in Errol Spence Jr. And he won't take the fight. Period. That's a duck. Same thing with Manny Pacquiao, and Manny Pacquiao's in the same weight class. That's a duck. So Errol says, because he's in the same situation he was in before. You all sometimes don't think. Errol is in the same situation trying to take over the pay-per-view world that he was in when he was trying to take over the domestic scene at the welterweight division. He did it. He did it. He's the man. He's the back-to-back-to-back American pay-per-view star. Not Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez ain't been on pay-per-view in the United States in years. But still, he's the man that doesn't have to make this mega fight. Manny Pacquiao doesn't have to make this mega fight. What is Errol Spence Jr. supposed to do? Go fight that main event fighter, Terrence Crawford, for half the money and shut up and go away from me. So you know what Errol Spence Jr. says? Errol Spence Jr. says this. But I'll fight you. But dog, you're not getting 50%, dog. You're not a superstar, okay? If I was going to fight Manny Pacquiao, I would probably have to take 55-45. I might even have to take 60-40 to fight Manny Pacquiao. And that's a fact. Terrence Crawford fights Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao is going to ask for most of the money. And if Errol wants that fight, Errol Spence is going to have to give Manny most of the money to get the fight. If Errol was going to fight Canelo Alvarez, he'd have to give Canelo most of the money to get the fight. And that's the truth. But main event Bud? Oh, it's 50-50 first step on the big stage. Man, go away. When Floyd Mayweather Jr. fought Oscar De La Hoya, he took 40%. And he was happy. Bud is the duck, if you ask me. Because anybody that would take $4 million a fight over $40 million is a duck. Unless he has another option to earn the same money, which Bud does not have. He is acting like he has it in Manny Pacquiao, but he doesn't. Manny Pacquiao is not going to fight Bud for all the reasons I just laid out. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think Bud is going to ask for 50% for Manny Pacquiao? Let me sit in silence on that one. Do you think Bud would ask for 60-40 for a fight with Manny Pacquiao? The answer to that, my friend, is no. No way. Do you know why? Because Manny's past numbers far exceed Terrence's, and Terrence knows it. The problem is, Terrence also knows that about Errol, but you all act like you don't know. Yeah, this is a cook. This is called a really big, long body bag. Errol Spence Jr., even if he didn't want to fight Terrence Crawford, wants a harder fight than Terrence Crawford. And you have the audacity to say something about it. While Terrence Crawford turns down Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, and anybody fucking else that got a chance to beat him. You a Bud hater. No, I am not. You're a Bud hater. You want Bud to be over there on ESPN waiting to age out and get fed to a prospect like Vasily Lomachenko. That's what you want. I am not a Bud hater. I am telling Bud to wake up and take $40 million, man. Wake up. The best thing you could do is buy yourself out of that top rank contract and immediately make an Errol Spence Jr. fight and take 40% and ask for a rematch clause. You will make more money in 2 fights with Errol Spence than you will make in 2 careers with Bob Arum. Nah, dog, you're the Bud hater. You're like welfare system. You're like a Bud Crawford welfare system. Just sit down there. Don't worry about fighting Bud. You got your government checks coming. I mean, we got the government checks. Why you need to go out there and get a job? We got these food stamps. We can take this fucking card, number one, and we can sell it for weed if we don't want the money. What we need to go out and get up out of here for? Government's giving us everything we need. You the fucking Bud government. Giving them all that government cheese. Give him all that bullshit you talking. Acting like he's some pay-per-view star. When Errol's the pay-per-view star. No, what you need to tell him is Bud, get off that ESPN couch and go take that job. Go take that PBC job. Right now, Bud. Go take that job. Yes, he's paying you. Yes, the government checks are good. But let me tell you, there ain't nothing better than $40 million sitting in your bank account. And I told somebody one time this. Okay? True conversation. All right? I told this dude because I was working in a job. At the time, I was making like $150,000. Right? Early in my career, thought I was killing it, right? Killing it. $150,000. And I told this guy, man, I'm making $150,000. I want $500,000. My goal is $500,000. I want to make $500,000, right? If I can make $500,000 in a year, that's what I was on. Like, that was my magic number. $500,000, $500,000 in a year. I needed to make $500 a day. That type of shit, right? And the guy asked me, man, come on. What's the difference between $150,000 and $500,000? That's a bunch of money. I was like, dog, the difference between $500,000 and $150,000 is $350,000. The difference is $350,000. Do you know what the difference is between 4 million and 40 million? It's $36 million. $36 million. Get off the couch and go take the PBC job, bud. That's what I think. But hey, man, y'all think what y'all think. Y'all think it don't work like that. Have you ever heard of a PBC person complaining about money? Bud was asked to take a pay cut 6 months ago. He was in the middle of a pandemic. Nobody in the PBC is complaining about money. Bud was asked to take a pay cut 6 months ago and was told, hey, man, I'm losing money on you. Bud is an employee, people. An employee does not say that about their boss. Oh, dog, man, I'm working for this guy. I'm losing so much money paying this guy that I work for. Do you hear how stupid that sounds? I am so sick of losing all this money that I pay this guy that I work for. Do you pay your employees? No, excuse me. Do your employees pay you? Do you get a check from your employee? Never. Bud gets a check from Bob, but thinks Bob works for him. Bob makes 10 times the money and writes the check, but Bud somehow thinks Bob works for him. You guys are so stuck in stupid cliches. I have no time for stupid cliches. Okay? No time for stupid cliches. Work harder, not smarter. What? Nigga, if you work smarter, and there's a point in which I can outwork you by working harder. Okay? I'm going to tell you. If you think just working smarter is going to get you there, you're bananas. You know why? Because there's a whole bunch of people that know just how to work as smart as you do, but they work 10 times as hard, dog. Okay? You're not going to make it. There is no shortcuts. Bud, you are in with all credit, a pound for pound top number one main event fighter on ESPN. You are trying to graduate to become, I think you're trying to graduate to become a major pay-per-view star and a financial bastion in the sport of boxing. I think you're trying to go from being a main event fighter to a financial ecosystem. Do not spit in the face of the only guy that is even acting like he's trying to give you a chance to do it. You talking shit about Errol Spence sounds to me like you being with your former promoter talking shit about Bob Arum. When your promoter, your original promoter, sold you to Bob Arum, you were not upset because you got a raise. I am telling you, you're in the same situation now. Your next former promoter should be Bob Arum. And you need to go get that same income boost by going to somebody else that's going to pay you and has a record of doing it. And guess who that is? The man behind the mask, Al Heyman, has made billionaires. Bob Arum never has because he never wanted to. But for some reason, you want to stay working for Bob and shit on the people over there making money. Go away, but you're a hell of a fighter. Much love in the chat. I will go through all the super chats tomorrow. I was on just a cook today. Needed to do it. Much love and respect to everybody on the chat. And with that, I'm out. Peace.